5 Days, 4 Nights by Fran Dorf. Playing Jessie.
Emily Stone.
Playing Dom.
Bill Barry.
Playing George.
Christopher Young.
Playing Diane.
Rachael Schefrin.
Scene 1. College campus. Day 1 of a summer writers conference. Jessie and George are standing next to each other at the opening reception. We hear the end of the welcoming speech. And so I welcome you all to our magnificent New England campus for the annual Creation and Craft Summer Writer Conference. I hope at the end of our 5 days together, you'll be more motivated to write and armed with the tools to write well. Thank you. We hear the audience clapping as the unseen speaker walks off. Jessie claps along eagerly, George politely. When the applause dies down, George leans over.
I'd take your enthusiasm down a notch. If our speaker had $1 for every writer he destroyed over the years, he'd be Bill Gates.
Excuse me?
I said if Brody had $1 for every writing student that he'd destroyed.
Yeah, I heard the words.
This guy specializes in ripping vulnerable writers to shreds and eating them for lunch.
Oh dear. Maybe I should make a quick exit. Do you think they'll give me my money back?
Not a chance. 5 days and 4 nights, you're a captive.
So how do I protect myself?
I'm sorry. My wife says I'm honest to a pathological fault, or maybe I'm just pathological. But be warned if you're taking Brody's master class.
I am.
Me too. Glutton for punishment.
Do you know Brody personally?
I did my BA at this venerable institution. I had him for intro to fiction writing. I called my first story attempt a narcissistic exercise in self-delusion in front of the whole class.
Oh, good Lord.
Didn't come out of my dorm room for weeks. Well, I mean, the story was autobiographical masquerading as fiction.
And that's frowned upon?
By academics like Brody.
And you're back for more?
He was better for Victorian lit. Though, even at 20, I didn't believe justice and virtue went out in the end.
I'm with you on that one.
I thought this writers' conference would be an opportunity to come back for the first time in 25 years. Hi, I'm George DeLuca.
Jessie Lowry. Is it weird to come back?
It makes me feel old, I guess. All my choices already made.
Scene 2. Jessie and Don Lowry's Connecticut home. Earlier, day 1 of the conference. Well, past ready to leave, suitcases next to her, Jessie waits for her husband to get home. She looks at her watch, gets up, paces, picks up a book, sits back down. Wearing his physician's white coat, Don enters.
Still here? Zoe's 15. She can be by herself for an hour.
One moment you accuse me of abandoning her, and the next I'm hovering. And look what happens when I don't hover.
Ah, so you didn't care for the do-it-yourself nose piercing party?
It isn't funny, Don. Her nose could get infected.
I said I'd be home as soon as I could. Here I am.
I better go. I'm gonna miss the opening reception. I'm sorry about last night.
Yeah, what else is new?
How was your day?
It didn't convince me to change my mind about giving up obstetrics.
What happened?
Pound and change preemie. Brain bleed in the NICU, but still hanging on. Why do I need the stress?
You used to love the stress.
Oh, I'm a different person now, in case you didn't know that.
Maybe you'll feel differently when they give the award next week.
Maybe not.
We can't back out now.
You also look hot in that dress.
That's me, 42 years old and so hot she must be in hell. What happened with that poor baby?
Mom is bulimic, only gained 5 pounds. I can make 10 times as much with 1/10 the stress.
I don't care about the money.
Sure you do.
Are you talking about Lily James? I once caught her vomiting in the club bathroom. I'd heard she was pregnant, but I saw her at tennis last week and she looked scary skinny, like always.
You went back to tennis, so that's good. And yes, I warned Lily.
Why don't you play a round of golf with her husband and tell him to stop encouraging her to throw up?
Oh, for God's sake, her bulimia has nothing to do with her husband.
Of course not.
You know, they'll probably sue me.
A lawsuit won't go anywhere. My mother wants to use some of Olivia's clothes for a quilt.
Her clothes?
They cut up the dead person's clothes into small squares and use them to stitch a quilt, stitch together a memorial quilt.
Well, that sounds morbid to me.
I think it's kind of sweet, even if it is my mother's idea. I told her I'd pick out a few things.
Good. Maybe now you'll clean out her room?
I have to go. Make sure Zoe puts antibiotic on that nose.
Jessie, I'm a doctor.
She's my daughter.
Mine too.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Come back in a better place.
She stares at him for a moment, frowning, then picks up her suitcase and leaves. Scene 3. Campus. Opening reception, day 1 continues. Jessie and George now have drinks in their hands.
So you're working on a novel?
Afraid so. I have no idea what I'm doing, though.
I'm sure that's not true.
It is. I've been thinking about writing for years, but only started a year ago. My friends think I've lost my mind.
Really? Why?
My Connecticut town is very far from the literary world. I'm a nurse. My husband's a doctor.
What does he think about your writing?
He doesn't mind. I sent the manuscript to a literary agent, and she wrote back with a nice letter with suggestions.
Unpublished writer? You're lucky to get a form letter back.
She offered to read it again after I worked on it. It was very nice.
Agents aren't in the business of nice. I'm impressed.
Well, I'm paralyzed. For one thing, I can't decide if my character stays with the lover or goes back to the husband.
Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I probably should just finish the thing, self-publish, and be done with it.
Lots of people do that these days. What's the book about?
I'm sorry, I've hogged the whole conversation. Nervous, I guess. What are you working on?
I asked you first.
A woman trying to figure out her marriage and her life after her child died.
You didn't lose a child, did you?
Oh, no. I had a sister who died when I was 10.
Oh, I'm sorry. What happened?
Cancer. The plot of the novel is very different, though.
Takes guts to tackle that subject.
Or insanity.
Scene 4. George and Diane DeLuca's Ohio home, 2 days before the conference. Diane is working at her computer on her PhD dissertation in social work and listening to African music. Fatumata Diawara Bacanova from the Vissa album. She's moving her upper body to the beat when George comes in, sneaks up behind her and kisses the back of her neck.
I love it when you do that.
That's why I did it. Great music. Who is it?
Fatumata Diawara. I mean, she's not from Mozambique, but God, it takes me back. Remember the 2 dolphins nudging us while we were making love on Pemba Beach?
The 2 dolphins probably still remember. They were certainly smiling. How was your day?
I'll never get to the end of this dissertation.
You will, and you'll blow them away when you do.
How was your meeting?
Oh, they want me to chair the department next year. I'd rather gouge my eyes out with a spoon.
George, you didn't say that, did you?
Come on, of course not.
Your sister called.
Ugh.
Your father's in the hospital. He's stable right now, but...
Oh, Christ. Hey, Grace. Diane told me, how is he? how long are they going to keep him? If you're all there, why do you need me? Oh, I can't, Grace. I'm going to a writers' conference in Massachusetts in a few days. I've got to get some writing done before the hordes return for the fall semester. Oh. He wants to forgive me? That's cute. You don't understand. You never have. All right. I'll think about it.
You should go, and you know it.
Don't tell me what to do, Diane.
No one can tell you what to do, George.
Why don't you go?
Why can't you ever think ahead about consequences?
That's one hell of a statement from you, Diane. Tell me, what are the consequences of not going to sit at the bedside of a father who treats me like his personal punching bag?
I think if you don't go, and he dies, you'll never forgive yourself.
And I think you're dead wrong.
George exits. Batumata Diawara Bacanova plays. Diane lingers for a moment, pensive. Scene 5, classroom, day 2 of the writers' conference. It's Jessie's turn to stand at a podium before the class and read from her novel in progress. We see only George, who is seated in front of her, and his reactions.
Hit by a Bus, a novel by Jessie Lowry. Chapter 1. It wasn't an hour into the first party we'd gone to after Christine died that I met the conductor. My husband and I had turned down every invitation for 3 years. People say all the wrong things, like everything happens for a reason. So you're saying you know the reason my 10-year-old isn't here with me instead of rotting in the ground? My mouth has become so unhinged, and sometimes when people say stupid things, I let them have it. My husband was hiding in the den, and I stood among the guests taking inventory, a zombie with a rictus grin. Who knew about Christine and who didn't? Who was offending me now and who wasn't? Who I hated because their child lives and mine doesn't? When I went back to the bar for a third glass of wine, there he was. He introduced himself, a childhood friend of our hostess, just flew in from Sarasota, a violinist, dashing, had a gig as a guest conductor for an orchestra up here. 15 minutes later, I'm standing outside in 15 degrees and we're kissing. And I haven't been kissed by anyone except my husband in 20 years. And I hadn't been kissed or even touched by my husband since Chris died. And I clung to this man as if he alone could wave his baton and bring a halt to the lunatic concerto of grief still playing without rest in my head.
Scene 6, a campus hill. Later that day, 2 of the conference. There's a tree, a bench, a pastoral view. A distressed Jessie is sitting on the bench staring at her open laptop. She looks off into the distance. George enters. She closes the laptop, pulls herself together, and smiles.
You found my favorite place on this whole campus. I love the way the church spire looks against the trees and the sky.
Brought all your girlfriends up here, did you?
All one of them. I love her,
And you
though.
married her?
I met Diane later, working in the same village in Mozambique after college. Idealists, Peace Corps.
Wow. What was that like?
Gorgeous beaches, beautiful people. Hard. We built a school. I became a teacher. It was transformational.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds like a wonderful experience. And Diane?
I once wrote a short story called The Light at the Edge of the World. She was the light. The East African sunlight is amazing, and the sun rose and set in Diane's eyes. Well, how about you?
Well, I wouldn't say the sun rose in Don's eyes, but close. I met him while he was in training, supported him through medical school.
I looked for you after class. I was afraid you were going to be upset by what that one student said. He's a bully.
I think I'm going to leave, George. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Maybe the character's too bitter for people to relate to. And pretentious, like he said.
Except she feels completely authentic, and it's the opposite. The lunatic concerto of grief plays with rest in her head? Such a natural metaphor, so resonant there.
You think so?
I do. And I want to hear the dialogue leading up to that kiss, though.
The novel goes back and forth in time. I've done that in a later scene. The agent says the sex scenes need to be more explicit and specific, particularly the first time they make love. A daunting task.
I'm always afraid I'll end up sounding like a pornographer. Have you read Michael Ondaatje's The English Patient? I sank to my knees in the mosaic-tiled hall, face in the curtain of her gown, the salt taste on these fingers in her mouth. We were a strange statue, the two of us, before we began to unlock our hunger.
I guess I'll have to read Ondaatje now. Love the salt.
Don't leave. There are always bullies. You're bound to threaten a guy who couldn't write his way out of a paper bag.
You thought his piece was bad?
Oh, so did you, and you know it. You've got to get a thicker skin.
Where do I get one? Do they sell them in the cafeteria?
Look, I've been a professor long enough to recognize talent when I see it.
You're a professor?
I was trying to go incognito because I'm not here as faculty. But yes, Ohio, English Lit, and creative writing. I assure you that confidence is a slippery beast, even when you've published.
You've published?
Mostly academic. My first novel sold like 3.5 copies. Unfortunately, writing isn't a choice for me. You either, I suspect. Here's a favorite quote of mine. If someone told me I had 6 minutes to live, I wouldn't brood. I'd type faster. Guess, Graham Greene or Isaac Asimov?
I'll say Green. Sounds to me as if you should be teaching the master class instead of taking it with the rest of us beginners.
Asimov, and we're all beginners when we're working on a novel.
Why go incognito?
If people at these conferences know you're a professor, you won't get a pure response to the work. Besides, I'm off for the summer.
What's your novel about?
A boy and his father, 1930s. You know, I'm curious how your parents will feel about your project.
I don't care. My mother is busy drinking herself to death.
Oh, I'm sorry. No doubt there's a novel in that too.
Not a subject I'm going near in this one. Maybe I should.
Maybe. I also thought Brody's reaction to your piece was most unhelpful, by the way.
Oh, he didn't say the writing was horrible.
But he failed to say how good it is. Probably because he's a hack and you're the real deal. I knew you'd be good even before you read.
How could you know that?
The agent. And that psychiatrist nurse story you told everyone at breakfast. You brought a tape measure for the patient who claimed his head was shrinking. Too many shrinks, I guess. You're a natural storyteller.
I'm not sure everyone liked my nurse's humor.
You can never please everyone in writing or in life.
I don't think I could have a single conversation with my husband like any one I've had with you.
I just meant I can see the accuracy of your observing eye, your sense of irony. These things translate. I feel it in my bones that you won't have to self-publish.
I'm going to point of view class now. You're full of shit.
Maybe so, but not about this.
Scene 7, Jessie and Don's home. 7 months before the conference. Jessie is at the kitchen table in her bathrobe writing on her laptop. Don comes in wearing his white coat but doesn't let her know he's there. He just stands for a moment watching her. Stops typing when he starts talking but doesn't turn around.
The hospital foundation called again. They really want to do the dinner thing this coming August.
What dinner thing?
I told you months ago. So you never listen to anything I say.
Don, please.
The annual Olivia Lowry dinner, honoring someone in the medical community. This first year, me. Look, it'll raise a lot of money for the hospital.
Okay, if you really want to.
It's hard for me too.
I already said okay.
Well, then stop making it seem like I don't miss her and live with this horror every single moment of my life. But I don't sit around here doing nothing.
Come on, Don. I'm doing much better, and I'm not doing nothing. I'm writing.
You're still in your bathrobe.
I guess I lost track of time. Oh, come on. It's a writer thing, not a grief.
At what point did it become a writer thing?
I can't give you a specific moment.
Okay, if you say so.
The agent I sent the book to wrote back today, Dawn. She said my fiction is very promising.
Really? When can I read it?
Maybe when I come back from the conference this summer.
What conference?
You don't listen to me either.
Tell me again.
They put us up in dorms, we take classes, read our work to each other, get critique.
The hospital event can be like your coming out party.
What if I don't want to come out?
Ever?
What if I just want to go somewhere where no one knows me and where I can pretend I'm normal, just a woman with one child? Wait, I can't pretend then because I feel I'm betraying Olivia and the guilt is like a 4,000-pound monster pressing in on my
You think
brain.
too much.
Mostly, I think about going somewhere else.
You want to move?
Somewhere where every single place I go doesn't smack up to some memory of Olivia. The school, the hospital, her room, the whole damn...
Look, we should clean out her room. It's 2.5 years, Jessie. To make it your writing room.
Maybe after the conference.
That's 7 months from now.
How can you even go to that hospital every day?
Even if we move, none of it will ever go away.
I know. Just make sure the dinner isn't August 3rd through the 7th. That's when the conference is.
It's 5 days?
Yes, and 4 nights.
Scene 8, Campus Hill, evening 2 of the conference. It's evening, the tree, the bench, the pastoral view. George and Jessie enter. They're returning from a local tavern where they've had a few drinks with other conference attendees.
So this one time my parents went out for the day and they left me in charge of my siblings. Oh, just what I wanted to do, take care of those hooligans. At one point, I decided my little brother was being a pain in the ass. So I put the dog's invisible fence collar on him. I kept walking him through the fence to shock him. The thing misfired and every time he took a step, poor thing froze like a stone. Well, I'm not a sadist now, but at that age, oh, I was a piece of work.
You really were. Look where we are again. You want to sit down for a while?
You're gonna think this is strange, Jessie. But sitting at the bar with everyone tonight, I had the weird feeling that you and I had known each other all our lives.
I felt the same way almost from the moment we met.
Was that only 2 days ago?
They see a pair of conference attendees go by, waving tensely. They follow the pair with their eyes as they pass.
I was afraid they were gonna come over.
Me too. You want to hear something else strange? My first lover's name was George.
Well, that's an interesting tidbit.
George, I'm not sure why I told you that.
Sister,
I'll go.
stay. I'll only be a minute. Hey, Grace, it's late. For God's sakes. Just because he says, all right, sis. I'm sending love. Call me if they decide to do surgery.
I'm sorry to intrude, George.
Jessie, my name isn't really George. It's Giovanni. I changed it
I don't understand.
because my father named me that. And everything related to him really is pretentious. He's in Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York, might be dying.
God, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. He's a philandering, manipulative, abusive prick.
How do you really feel?
He's a pompous, entitled. I swear, even if he lives, one day I'm going to write a memoir and tell the truth about him.
What do you mean?
I'd much rather go back to talking what we were talking about before Grace called. George, your first lover.
I loved him madly.
You still think about him?
Sometimes. Tell me about your father. I'm interested. I take it you're the only one of your siblings who doesn't talk to him.
They suck up because of his money. I'd rather be a pauper. I was raised on Park Avenue. My father ran a big international company, retired now, snob of all snobs, oozes charm, of course. My mother would make these dinner parties, everything flawless, from the wine to the baked Alaska, but nothing was ever good enough. He could be so vicious, sexually out of control, too. Sometimes my mother says she still loves him. Drives me crazy. She's also at the hospital. Probably be a confrontation between current and ex-wife, like some humiliating melodrama.
I could never even bring friends home because of my parents' melodrama du jour.
We sound like a couple of bitter old people. I'm not that way in my life. I'm really not.
Laughing at yourself in the face of adversity is a good thing. At least that's what my therapist says.
Your therapist must be a smart man.
Woman.
Just one more, okay? Dear Dad even refused to pay for my education. If it were an MBA at Harvard, fine, but literature? No way. All he said was, fine, be a pauper. See if I care.
He does sound vicious.
Worst thing is I work like a dog and I'm still a pauper.
I bet your students love you.
If they're willing to work, they do. If not, they trash me on ratemyprofessor.com. No, that's not true. I adore teaching. Mostly, they're wonderful young people. They're just young. Do you think I should visit my father, Jessie?
I'm in no position to. It's your decision.
Wise woman.
The smitten Jessie and George kiss. She pulls away.
I'm married.
Me too. Maybe not as happily as I'd like.
Wait, don't tell me. If we start complaining about our marriages.
I always told myself I wouldn't be a cheater like my father. Do you know how I feel right now? Like I've landed in Brigadoon.
I love that story. So romantic. It is going to be tough to leave you in a few days.
Have you ever read Plato?
Hardly.
Oh my God, now I'm the one who sounds pretentious. Plato was the soulmate guy.
Explain, Professor.
He said that all human beings are one half of twin souls, and that each soul spends a lifetime looking for the other half.
George.
I know.
I have 2 children, for God's sake. I mean, I have one.
Of course. Of course.
Scene 9. George and Diane's home, 7 months before the conference. Diane is on her cell phone, pacing back and forth, agitated.
Damn it, Brian. We have to get that permit or we can't open Haven House next week. Absolutely not. We've worked too hard and too long. I know, but maybe if I call him myself, I'll beg him if I have to. Okay. We'll talk tomorrow. The building inspector has some structural problem with the back porch. He won't give us an occupancy permit until we fix it, and we can't wait. We just can't.
Just take a couple of breaths, Diane.
Don't tell me that, George. These women aren't safe until they move in there. We have to open on schedule.
I know we've been fighting bureaucrats our whole lives, but you'll figure this out.
Bureaucrats and stupidity.
And greed. How much will it cost?
Maybe I can talk to the inspector into opening with the porch closed off.
Well, I'd say that man doesn't stand a chance against Diane DeLuca with guns blazing.
I learned from the best, George. Remember the guy in Napula you talked out of the whole truckload of gravel for practically nothing?
Juma Adaba, wow. I haven't thought about him in years. He was such a character. Wasn't all me, though, as I remember.
We're a team, George. Shooting stars. Remember?
On a day like today, it's hard to remember why I even chose this life.
What happened?
The department meeting this morning was a shit show. All drama, no pedagogy, and then this afternoon I get a call from my mother complaining. I got a call from a mother complaining that I gave her son a D on an essay, which he deserved. Told me how much they're paying and how smart her kid is. Even said she would ruin me. I almost laughed. Jesus, I mean, I'm trying to help the boy. Such entitlement. No wonder this country's in trouble.
I'm sure you handled it brilliantly. As always.
I don't know about that. The more reasoned I was, the more hysterical she became.
Diane is silent for a moment, then stands up and kisses him.
Lizzie's at orchestra. We could go upstairs.
I have to take a rain check. I'm so behind. I just have work to do, Diane. My God, you didn't want sex for years. Now I have to jump?
I couldn't, George. I was sick.
I'm not blaming you.
Your sister called to say your father's upset.
Could we not talk about that wedding?
I thought it went well, but your sister said...
Damn right. I even kept my mouth shut when he tried to bait me with Republican talking points.
Well, clearly you said something that upsets him. Grace seemed to know, but she wouldn't say.
No doubt he didn't tell her what he said to me first, typical.
He wouldn't have invited us if he didn't want you to be there.
I was a prop for his new child bride. What is she, his fourth?
Third. I thought she was very nice.
For a gold digger.
You don't know she's a gold digger.
A 38-year-old event planner?
You call your father a snob? Maybe she loves him.
Too bad for her.
Maybe he slowed down. Maybe he wants peace in his life.
Ha! That's funny.
He's 71.
You know, you're just one of those people who think everyone can become loving if you only give them enough love.
I have to believe that, George.
Did you believe it when he called you a gold digger? We walked out of that command dinner, Lutece, for God's sakes.
You made me walk out, George. I tried to tell him you'd never even mentioned where you came from.
Christ! When I think about sitting there in the heart of darkness, you telling him about the school we built in Africa, and him calling us a pair of...
Please, I don't need to hear it again.
Okay, fine. But people like him don't change, Diane.
He made an effort by inviting you to his wedding. Can't you just try?
After 15 years of silence? After what he did to my mother?
Your mother can speak for herself.
She can? Can she really? I'm surprised she didn't come to the wedding. Maybe as the flower girl.
Well, Lizzie had a great time with her cousin.
She did. I loved seeing that too.
Grace and Soren managed to get along with him. Just tell me what happened.
When we were all leaving, he suddenly leans over and says, "You will treat my wife with respect, Giovanni, or I will cut you off." Which is pretty funny, since he cut me off years ago.
Maybe he didn't like it when you toasted his new wife.
I meant it in the sense of new bride. I was trying to be nice.
Well, I just want Lizzie to spend time with her cousins at the beach. I mean,
We can't afford the Hamptons.
your sister invites us every year. It's free.
For God's sakes, Diane, you never wanted to go. You were in no condition.
Well, now I want to.
Well, my sister won't invite us this year after dear old dad forbids it, and he will after this.
What did you say to him?
He said he'd cut me off. I called him a fucking asshole.
Fatumata Diawara Bacanova plays. Diane lingers for a moment. Scene 10, 2 campus dorm rooms. Later, evening 2 of the conference. 2 desks, a single bed between them. Jessie in a shirt and panties in front of her laptop writing. George in boxers and a tee standing at the window, dreamily looking out. George moves to the desk, sits down and starts writing a love scene with Jessie. The task is a captivating struggle. After a few moments, Jessie stops writing, gets her cell phone, checks a list on the desk. After a false start, she dials nervously. George's phone rings.
Hello?
It's Jessie. Your number's on the list they gave us.
I'm sorry I upset you. I'm embarrassed.
I have a terrible marriage, George.
Do you want to tell me?
I feel if I tell you, I'll be lost.
He isn't abusive, is he?
It's very complicated.
Either he is or he isn't.
I'm pretty passive. I play the role. The doctor's wife.
I wouldn't expect that.
People present themselves, don't you think?
Yes, I do. And the good doctor?
They're honoring him next week at a big hospital dinner. It fills me with dread.
Why?
Why don't you just give the money you spent for the designer gown to the charity and be done with it?
But where's the dread?
Did I tell you he's an OBGYN? His patients think he's God's gift.
He delivers their babies, no wonder.
The women deliver the babies. He assists.
I take your point.
The thing is, most women would be thrilled to have my life. I wasn't brought up the way that you were. Neither was Don, for that matter.
Money is seductive, no question.
When I first met Don, I guess I was enthralled to be on the arm of the dashing soon-to-be doctor. But now, things happen, people change. What you want to do, who you would have chosen.
I've chosen you.
If you knew me, you wouldn't say that. And I was a different person when I met Don.
I was a mess when I met Diane, probably still am. My father did one hell of a number on me, Jessie.
Life is just so complicated.
Of course it is. My wife loves me with every fiber of her being, and yet here I am, sitting in my little dorm room, wanting you.
What's the problem in your marriage?
She's amazing in many ways, but it's just so hard to talk about. It feels like betrayal or shame or something.
I stalked you, George. I ordered your novel. I even tried to find your short story about her online.
Thank God the literary journal that published it is long gone. May I read you something I just wrote to you?
Sure. Go ahead.
He stands at the window looking out at the night sky, the moon cloaked in a haze of clouds. She is right down the hall and he is restless, plagued by a confusion of emotions. The thought that he is only imagining a profound connection between them as a rationalization for his lust. He wants to go to her, but he is as disciplined to acts of appetite and impulse as his father is consumed by them. Yet later, when she comes to him, he does not lead her to the small bed or place his mouth on hers. he submits instead to a baffling impulse to kiss her on the forehead and eyelids, as if she is a child in need of comfort, as if his unruly heart isn't pounding with panic and desire.
George, stop.
I have to stop. That's all there is.
Scene 11, Jessie and Don's home, 1 year before the conference. 2 years into grief, Don is sitting in the kitchen in his white coat nursing a drink, talking on his cell phone. He nurses the drink through the scene.
I don't know how to explain it, Larry. I guess I've hit a wall. I'm tired. I just don't. I realize that, but I'm serious about this. Okay. I'll give it another few months. And look, I'm sorry to ask, but I've got a 46-year-old in early labor, probably be tonight. Can you? Yeah, she's in great shape. Baby looks good. Okay. Thanks. I think I'm going to give up obstetrics.
Why?
I can make so much more money with so much less stress.
Doing what?
More of what I'm doing now, I guess. Gynecology and surgery, rejuvenations.
Maybe you don't want to bring any more babies into the world when we don't have ours?
That's ridiculous. How was your lunch with Alice?
Shouldn't have gone.
You had to. I mean, she asked you so many times.
I don't have to do anything, Don. And if I never see that woman again, it'll be too damn soon.
Allison and Brad are our friends.
Oh, really?
What happened?
Without asking, she brings this other woman I barely know, Marcia something, and the two of them spend the entire lunch gossiping and babbling about their perfect children as if I weren't even there.
Oh, come on.
That's what people do, Don. Anything to avoid your sorrow. Well, except when Allison turned to me and said, I should take up yoga. Yoga is very calming, she said. It'll help me get over it. Marcia agreed, by the way.
Where's Zoe? She isn't home yet.
She went to Morgan's house after school.
I don't like that Morgan. That outfit she was wearing the other day?
She's not alone. She was one of the few kids who stepped up for Zoe after Olivia died.
Yeah, well, if Zoe starts dressing like that, I hope you'll put your foot down.
Hey, Don, I will. So could you.
Sam Allen from the Hospital Foundation called today. They want to do an annual dinner in Olivia's name next summer.
Maybe that's why you came home in the middle of the day.
I like the idea.
All those people staring at us. Me, poor, pathetic Jessie Lowry. Look, she's the one whose child died. Hit by a fucking bus. How tragic. I'm glad it's not me. How can she even go on?
They're not thinking that.
You're wrong. I'm the pariah they would cross the street to avoid.
I think you make it that way.
It is that way. I'm going to write. I've decided to take my therapist's advice. She said writing would help me, so I'm goddamn writing. I've decided to write a novel.
I know you read a lot, but
I couldn't read at all at first, that first year. You know, I've been thinking about doing this for years, Don. I got that short story published.
you should go back to nursing.
Let me finish, for God's sake. Yesterday was the first day I really thought I could do it. I wrote one good scene. You should congratulate me.
All right. I'm happy for you. So what's the novel going to be about?
What do you think?
This? Losing our child? What, do I get a say?
Are you gonna order me to quit?
Order you? I'm just not sure it's a good idea. I mean, to write about Olivia's death, you'll have to relive it, and that won't help you get over it.
Oh, and you're over it.
I am trying to move forward.
How is drinking too much moving forward?
You're damn right I'm drinking. Give me a break. Look, I'm not your mother.
Well, maybe I don't want to move forward, Don. Maybe I want to gather it all in, every moment of her life, every second of her death. Maybe I want to take it out and hold it and look at it and dissect it until I'm ready to stop.
It is 2 years since we've lost her, Jessie. We could have another child. You're not even high risk.
I can't think about that. Some replacement child?
Look, I don't know how much longer I can take this.
Take what? Your life is unchanged.
That is not fair. It's because I get up and go to work every day and I try to enjoy myself as best that I can.
Enjoy yourself.
Well, you're a great nurse. I'm sure they'd love to have you. Look, no one even reads novels anymore. People have enough troubles, and a novel is for escape.
How are the serial killer novels you read an escape?
Why can't you just write about something else?
Oh my God, this is hilarious, Don. Why don't I turn myself into a green monkey? Imagine trying to write about something else when grief is still everywhere, in front of my eyes, in my head, screaming in my ears, when it's all I see, all I
Well, I think you're holding on to it because it's all you have left of her.
Maybe I am. And so what?
Scene 12, Campus Hill, day 3 of the conference. Sitting on the bench, Jessie lights a cigarette. Her cell phone rings. She looks at the display and reluctantly answers, paces and smokes during the ensuing conversation.
No, not today. I'm not even home. Like I said, a quilt will be lovely, but I need to look in our closet and decide what to give you. I don't think you'll take the wrong things. At a writer's conference, I needed to get away. They'll be fine. I can't watch Zoe every moment. Well, maybe you would. Could you stop, Mom? I am drowning in your tears. Of course you're allowed to grieve. Look, I have to go. I'll see you next week. I'll let you know when.
I hope you'd be up here. Are you all right?
Oh, yes. I'm always peachy when I talk to my mother. I hate this disgusting habit.
You should quit.
I quit when I was 25, but I went back to it a few years ago.
Oh, why in the world would you do that?
It was stupid.
Look, Jessie, I feel like I keep apologizing.
Oh, don't.
My feelings are just so confusing. I can't believe I wrote that. I never act on impulse. And then on impulse, I read that to you. And such a first draft, too.
I kind of liked the panic and desire. I love the scene you read for the class this morning.
Oh, right now, my whole novel feels like sentimental, self-indulgent shit.
No. The way the mother silently tended to the boy after the father walloped him, it was so moving. Everyone loved it.
Doesn't matter. The magic gnomes will get you every time.
Gnomes?
The ones that come along and change your great American novel into shit without changing a word.
I didn't know there was a name for them. I guess your father is the source for your fiction then?
In a way, I guess.
When I worked in the ER, we'd see women who endure violent men like that, like they're ghosts. Is the character like your mother?
Mine's more an eternal optimist than eternal spirit. She's haunted, yes, but violence is beneath my father. Words are his weapon. One time when I was about 13, he invited one of his Republican cronies over. Oh my God, you're not Republican, are you?
No, don't be ridiculous. Plenty of them, though, in our town, at our club. He plays golf.
Of course he does. My parents belong to a country club. That scene made me want to throw up, even aside from the fact that we had to hide the whole dad as a monster thing.
Me too, sometimes. What happened when you were 13?
My father called me into his study and announced that I was a little homosexual who likes books better than girls. I protested, of course. Then he asked his friends if he should teach me to love pussy the way he did.
Oh, good Lord. And his friend went along?
Of course, those were his whore buddies. I was obsessed with girls. He did it just to humiliate me.
That is so cruel.
He then offered to take me on one of their brothels. I told him I'd rather be dead.
Scene 13, George and Diane's home, 1 year before the conference. We hear the DeLuca's daughter practicing Bach's minuet in G major on the violin. George enters with his laptop, sits down, opens it, but instead of working, he just listens. Diane enters.
She sounds good, doesn't she?
I made her do it 10 times yesterday. Finally, she's got it.
She's 8 years old.
Diane shrugs, leafs through the mail, while George goes back to his laptop. She stops and stares at him pointedly while the music continues for a few moments and then stops.
Diane, stop. I don't know what you want.
She shrugs and starts looking through the mail again. He goes back to his laptop and she stares again.
What is it?
I saw Jill Regan at the library this afternoon.
Oh, Jesus.
She's attractive.
In a certain way.
Never realized it before.
Whatever I say is going to be the wrong thing.
I gave up everything to come here with you. My family, my whole life.
Excuse me? You wanted to go back to Oklahoma to live with your parents, maybe. You're right.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Another man would have given up on me long ago.
You're doing fine now. You're on the right meds.
I can't believe I have to take all this for the rest of my life. It makes me feel like I have fuzz in my brain.
What fuzz for brains? You're almost finished with your PhD.
You're not in my head, George. I'm just not sure I can get up every morning and shove poison in my mouth.
You've got to take your meds. We can't go through that again. Lizzie can't. I can't.
Don't be a wuss. I was kidding.
Good.
I'll never pass orals.
You're 20 times more brilliant than that social work committee.
It's so hard, George. My mind just... I can't stop thinking about you and Jill. Did you compare us? Physically, I mean?
You're a brilliant and beautiful woman.
And whatever else I am.
Come on. When you're on, you light up a room. After the Haven House fundraiser last week, Brian told me you were a tour de force.
That's me, a real barn burner.
Don't disparage yourself. You're doing something amazing, starting the women's shelter, conceiving it, finding the house, raising the money.
Brian thinks we should start another one in Oregon. His sister's a social worker out there. Maybe a whole chain, like the Underground Railroad.
Well, if anyone could do that, it'd be you.
You're just buttering me up to avoid talking about Jill.
Jesus. Physical comparisons. She's taller. She thinks her arms are too fat.
What do you think?
Her arms are fine. It's not even a contest. You're way more beautiful than I deserve.
You do look more like your father every day.
I guess I'll have to take that.
And you'll give me a blow by blow if I decide I want it?
It just isn't very interesting.
Tell me one detail.
I just did. Why do we keep doing this? It happened 2 years ago.
Can you just indulge me?
I guess I'll have to at this point. Do you want details about the upper half or the lower half?
That isn't funny.
Diane, when you saw her, did you say anything to her?
You mean, did I make a scene?
Yes, that is what I mean.
No, George. But I should have.
I have work to do. Are you sure you didn't say anything to her?
Why don't you call her and ask?
Diane sinks into a chair and starts to cry. Minuet in G major plays. Scene 14. George's room, night 3 of the conference. George comes into his room, lays down his backpack, sits down on the bed. He's restless. After a moment, he lies down, closes his eyes. Gets up again. There's a knock at the door. He opens the door. Jessie is standing there.
I need to tell you something, George. I lied. My novel is based on my own experience, not my mother's. I did lose a child.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry, George.
Don't be sorry. Tell me.
I came up with the name Christine for the book. My daughter was Olivia. She was hit by a school bus, like in the novel. There, I've said it. It's like every time I say it, I lose another piece of me. Or maybe I gain a piece of me. I don't even know.
Dear Lord, how can you know?
I thought I could help myself by trying to put words to it, but even if I do, I have to handle how people react.
Even if you write a memoir, you still have to handle that.
I can't write a memoir. In a novel, I can disguise. I don't have to air our dirty laundry. But now I realize everyone will assume that whatever I put in the book is what I experienced, even if it isn't.
Fiction is a soup made of anything imagined, experienced, or invented. After it's cooked, the original ingredients doesn't matter.
That's a wonderful description. You really must be a great teacher.
How long ago did this happen?
3 years.
Did you lie because I stupidly said Brody frowned on autobiographical fiction?
Partly, I guess. But I was lying about my children. But lying about my children is my life now. When someone asks how many I have, what am I supposed to say? If I say 2, there's a follow-up and I have to either lie or confess. I had to, but one's dead, which leads to all the sympathy, the questions, or worse, no questions. But if I say I have 1 child, I feel I'm denying her life. It's also horrible and complicated. And either way, I might end up crying with a stranger who just wanted to pass the time.
I understand.
You really don't. No one does. I guess I'm writing this book because I want people to understand the emotional truth of it, but it does what it does to you when the thing every parent fears most happens.
Tell me about her. Olivia, I mean.
She was 13, smart as a whip, determined. Zoe, my younger one, is more impetuous, insecure. Olivia was my steady one. Even though she was only 13, she had a wisdom you don't usually see in a young girl. Would you like to see a photo?
Sure. She was beautiful, like her mother. My God, I'm so sorry.
Honestly, George, I don't feel beautiful anymore. The only time I feel like there might be beauty left in me is when I'm writing.
You should write. Write what you're moved to write, Jessie. You're a gifted writer. And the saddest person I've ever met.
He tenderly kisses her forehead. Then they pull back, look at each other, kiss, and move toward lovemaking. Scene 15, Jessie and Don's bedroom, 2 years before the conference. 1 year into grief, Jessie is at her vanity table brushing her hair. Don comes in, drink in hand. He lays a glass on the vanity, kisses her in a sexual way. Jessie pulls away, but he won't let her go. He starts to overpower her.
Don, stop. I don't want to.
Oh, come on, sweet Jessie.
She tries to pull away, but the confrontation escalates until there's a physical standoff. Finally, he lets her go and pulls away, disgusted with himself, despairing.
Don't call me that anymore.
I can't go on this way.
Don, for God's sake, she's in my head. She's always in my head.
She's in your head when we're having sex.
We had sex last week.
You know, 3 weeks ago, actually.
You're counting.
You make it seem like there's something wrong with me for wanting to make love with my wife.
When your wife is a dead woman, it's a little weird.
We have to try to go on.
I lost my child.
Zoe will hear you.
I don't care. I don't care. It's my fault this happened. I don't want to go on. I don't.
God, Jessie. You haven't said this to Zoe, have you?
It makes me sick what a fraud I am with her most of the time.
I could prescribe something.
This isn't depression, Dawn. My therapist says a year is nothing for a mother. Why would you even want to have sex with a dead woman?
Stop saying things like that.
Oh, what? You'll leave me?
Of course not.
Well, then what? No matter how I feel, nothing's going to stand in the way of your constant need for sex.
What constant need? We should be able to come together in our grief.
That isn't how it works. And with you.
Oh, Christ. Sake, you should be thankful I still think you're the most beautiful woman I ever saw.
Is that what this is about? I'm so beautiful, you can't keep your hands off me?
I'm a normal man with normal sexual needs.
Are you?
What's that supposed to mean?
I think you come home after work sexually aroused.
You've lost your mind.
Don't you dare walk away.
You just accused me of being a pervert. Have you always thought that?
I have always thought you were sexed. Before we lost Olivia, I just...
What?
I don't know, did my wifely duty.
You faked it.
Sometimes I got into it. Why can't you understand that everything I ever thought and did in my whole life is in question now that my child is gone?
Do you understand? What you're saying is disgusting.
We should go to therapy.
I'm not going to pour my heart out and let alone discuss this with some stranger who can't possibly understand.
She lost a child herself.
Fine. We can talk until the cows come home and it won't stop that bus from hitting our child.
All right, then we won't.
Do you want a divorce?
I can't deal with this now. If you need to divorce me, go ahead. If you just need more sex, please do me a favor and find someone to accommodate you. One of your patients, maybe. They all adore you.
Scene 16, George's room, day 4 of the conference. Morning, George and Jessie have slept entwined in the small bed. Clothes are heaped on the floor. Under the cover, she's wearing a shirt and panties. He's in boxers. He awakens first and looks at her. She opens her eyes.
Wow.
Wow.
2 writers, and wow is the best we can do.
I can do better, George.
I thought you were going to call me Giovanni. Diane, I swear she has radar.
You should answer it.
Hey, Diane. How many times are you going to? Because I don't want to. Why isn't that enough? Fine, fine. Just because you insist, I'll go. I'll talk to you later.
What is it?
My wife, it's just so. They're gonna try open heart surgery in the next few days. If they decide he can survive it. I can't believe how good I feel with you.
He moves in to kiss her, but she pulls away.
George, Giovanni, whatever your name is, we can't do this again.
I don't agree.
Didn't you just tell your wife?
What's the point of sitting there loathing a dying man?
But you just said.
Do you want to make it a fucking chorus?
You know what, George? I don't want to do anything. I've got enough on my plate. Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell.
You didn't. I just have to meet Brody for my individual conference. And I have to go to the bathroom.
My father is a sadistic, immoral bastard.
We've done something plenty immoral, George. People sometimes do.
Hardly the same. Jessie, it feels to me as if you've already put us in an emotional box. Did our lovemaking feel immoral to you?
Well, while we were doing it, it felt, I don't know, good.
Good. Adjective, meaning nice, virtuous, enjoyable, skillful. Ah, there it is. Perhaps I was a skillful lover.
Are you always this way? You told her you'd go. That's a pretty casual lie.
Try not to judge me. Diane can be frighteningly obsessive.
Frighteningly? I wouldn't want you to lie to me just to get me off your back.
I don't think I'd have to.
You mean if we were together? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know. Are we?
It's 8:30. I really have to go.
Thanks for the great sex, Giovanni, or whatever your name is.
You know, you want to know how it felt to me, Giovanni?
Good is pretty lame for a writer of your caliber.
If you really want to know, it felt like 2 halves of the same whole coming together.
Yes, it did.
It could be just a feeling. And if we act on it to actually be together, that would kill the feeling.
Philosophically, yes. Eros includes longing for the object of desire, but once it's possessed, there's no more longing.
Bravo, Professor. I have to go.
Scene 17, George's office, 2 years before the conference. George is at his desk talking on his cell phone. At some point, perhaps midway, Diane enters.
Jill, I'm sorry. I just can't. Because I'm not this kind of person, and we agreed it would just be once, and I'd feel too guilty. Because I got tenure, and I don't want to blow up my life, neither do you. Let's just... No, look, it was nice, but one of us could get fired, probably you. All right, yes. I'm afraid my wife will find out. Aren't you afraid your husband will find out? Okay, I'll cop to that. But I'm a failure at so much else that... Thanks. That's nice of you to say.
You son of a bitch.
I thought you were at a meeting in Lizzie's school.
She pushes him.
I hate you.
She moves to push him again, but he blocks her.
Diane, stop.
Give me your phone.
Why?
Just give it to me. I want to see it with my own eyes. Texts, emails, everything.
There aren't any.
Liar. And that thing you're always worried about, that you're just like him, well, I think this proves it. I finally caught you.
It was just this one time.
You're a cheat and a liar.
I made a terrible, stupid mistake, but this is the one time in 20 years.
Why should I believe you aren't screwing every girl on this campus?
Jesus, Diane. If you could only hear yourself. How many times have you accused me of screwing children? Just last fall, I'm on a bench with my grad student talking about her dissertation, and you come along and ask me out of the blue if I'm sleeping with her. It's humiliating when you do shit like that. You see how hard I work? How can you think I have the time or energy to manage such a thing?
You're always so logical, George. So calm, so rational.
I worried I'd lose my mind years ago.
You're just like
Stop
your
it.
father.
My father is a sick, sick man.
You think
Diane,
I'm sick?
whatever I've done here, we can't pretend you don't have an illness, because that leads to you going off your meds, and that leads to a place I can't go again. You're fine, as long as...
I don't feel fine right now.
I know, and I deserve your anger.
So who was it this time?
There is no other time, Diane.
Are you going to leave me for her?
It was just sex.
What does that mean?
I don't know, 2 adults, a moment at a gathering, a glass of wine, a flirtation.
Do you love her?
No.
But do you love me?
Most of the time I do. You make it so hard sometimes.
Tell me her name.
I don't believe this. I'm actually afraid to tell you.
Why would you be afraid?
Are you serious?
Tell me who it was.
Jill Regan.
When? After an English department meeting? Where? Here? Or did you spring for a Motel 6?
I really want the gory details.
I might decide I do.
Okay, Diane. Okay.
What should we do now?
I don't know.
If you leave me, I'll kill myself, George. You know I will.
Diane, please don't start that again.
What would be my reason for living?
Oh my God, Lizzie! Lizzie.
Come on. Let's go to her recital.
Okay. But maybe you should have Dr. Riley adjust your meds a bit.
Fuck you, George.
Scene 18. Jessie and Don's home, 3 years before the conference. They come from their daughter's funeral, stricken. They walk in and sit down facing each other. Jessie is holding a stuffed bear. She looks around.
Where's Zoe?
She went up to her room.
Why haven't you cried, Don?
Jessie, please.
No, I mean it. All that time in the hospital with our daughter lying there, you've never cried. Even when we had to remove the life support.
I've cried. Just not in front of you.
Why not?
I don't know, Jessie. I don't know anything anymore. Just know that it's finally over.
It will never be over. And I hate you for saying that.
This isn't my fault.
No, it's mine. I shouldn't have let her go to school that day.
Your mind, it's playing tricks on you. You couldn't have changed it.
The universe is playing tricks on me, Don. I should have buried her bear with her today. I thought about it, but then I thought, no, I need to have the bear with me.
Gotta stop rethinking this.
I don't have to do anything. Stop telling me what to do. I can barely sit here in my skin.
He comes over to put his arms around her, but she refuses his embrace.
Please, Don, I can't stand to be touched right now.
She walks out, leaving the bear sitting on the chair. He picks up the bear, sits down for a moment, clutching it numbly, burying his face in its fur, trying to inhale any lingering scent of his daughter. Scene 19, George's room, day 4 of the conference. Afternoon, Jessie and George have made love again. They are half dressed in bed, side by side, recovering.
Jesus.
Wait, just give me a minute.
So, I never asked you, what did Brody say this morning?
This is what you want to know right now? He had one decent idea. Then the fool made a pass at me.
Seriously?
That's what I said.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
I wanted to get to the sex with you first.
Who knew I was such a stud? I hope you don't think I'm in that same fool category as Brody.
I don't know. You and Brody are colleagues now, aren't you? Are you friends too?
Are you accusing me of something?
No. No, I didn't tell him anything about my loss. I must have an aura. Pathetic, vulnerable woman whose child died needs a good roll in the hay.
Is that all this is to you?
I was joking. I haven't been able to joke in a long time.
Okay, good. But you must fend off passes all the time.
In the past 3 years, I felt more like a ghoul than a woman. To be honest, I can't stand my husband to touch me.
You haven't had sex with him in 3 years, like the character in your novel?
No, I have. The couple in the novel is different than us. Younger, poorer, not medical people, and they've both lost interest in sex. I guess that's my ridiculous way of disguising.
Not ridiculous. In the scene where the scene that you sent to everyone, I truly love the part where she'd thinking about the difference between the feel and texture of her husband's skin and her new lover's skin. But then she realizes she can't remember exactly how her husband's skin feels because in their grief, it's been so long since they made love.
I like that part too.
So will you tell me the real story?
My marriage just looks very different from Planet Grief.
Isn't he there too?
We're not on the same one, I guess. The planet where children die is just so alien that it makes everything back on Earth look alien too. But you're stuck here for life. There's no spaceship, no magic words, no prayers to transport you back.
I can't even imagine. Tell me what things in your marriage.
Women support their husbands. I know. Well, except my mother.
Was that a lie too? That she's drinking herself to death?
No, she is, but that's on her own. And she's even worse since Olivia died. Acts like she lost her daughter. Maybe I always wanted to please my husband because my mother is an angry drunk who beats hers down. But it's like now that I see how short life is, how can it be destroyed in a single moment? How it can be destroyed in a single moment. I've realized that this life I'm in isn't about me. It's always about him, what he wants, what he needs, what he thinks. Also, I guess I feel Don doesn't have a proper attitude about his work.
What do you mean?
The man helps women deliver babies, yes, but mostly he spends his days looking at vaginas. You know, pussies, snatches, coochies, tweets, monkey boxes.
Oh my God. She's going all vagina monologues on me.
Comes home from work and I swear he's like a dog in heat, even more so since Olivia died. I used to just acquiesce because if I didn't, he sulked. Christ, the man wants sex now like twice a day, every day.
I would too.
After 20 years, after losing a child, don't be an asshole.
I'll try. How old is he?
Too old for twice a day.
For real? Don't medical people develop a way to cope through training, repetition, professional distance, whatever?
Theoretically. And now he's giving up obstetrics to focus on vaginal surgery. Everyone thinks women need to be fixed. Their faces, their breasts, now their vaginas. I think we're fine the way we are.
Easy for you to say. Beautiful woman like you.
I can't have a philosophy because I fit society's narrow definition of physical beauty.
Of course you can. My campus is crawling with Birkenstock-wearing, plastic surgery-disdaining, vegan-eating feminists. They'd rather die than have their monksy boxes fixed.
Oh, you are funny.
And just so you know, I think your monkey box is perfect.
It's him.
Answer.
You want me to?
No.
We've settled into once or twice a week, but I always end up feeling used, like an ashtray.
Some metaphor.
Honestly, George, I don't know how I'm going to go home after this. The thought of him touching me.
I want to touch you forever.
Do you?
Oh, it's unbelievably crazy.
I know.
Can you picture yourself telling him you want a divorce?
Part of me wants to. Maybe most of me. Can you?
Oh my God, the chaos I'd face. I guess I should tell you, I cheated on Diane once before. She's always accusing me, and then that one time...
Honestly, you don't seem like the cheater type.
How could I be? I'm obsessed with not being my father. But that one time, I don't know, I got together with a colleague. I've spent 2 years trying to make amends, but no matter how much I tell myself, and Diane, that I love her, I guess I just don't. Or I wouldn't have fallen for you.
How would we even be together?
You could get a job as a nurse easier than I could find a new position. I only got tenure just a few years ago.
That's another lie I told. I quit nursing 10 years ago.
Why?
I wanted to be with my girls. Steer them right, I guess. Look where that got me. George, I can't even think right now. I couldn't uproot Zoe. He'd fight me for her. I have to go. I have a plot development class.
We sure got one here. Yes. Go.
I'll see you later. We'll try to figure out this mess.
Let's have dinner in town.
That sounds good.
She kisses him and exits. He sinks down, head in hands. Scene 20, George's room, day 4 of the conference. Good afternoon. George is alone in his room working. There's a knock. Thinking it's Jessie, he opens the door. It's Diane. She's disheveled. Her hair is a mess.
Diane, what are you doing here?
Your father died this morning, George. He had a heart attack on the operating table. I'm sorry.
She hugs him. He receives it passively, then sinks down on the bed, trying to process this news, even as he quickly realizes she's in the middle of an escalating manic episode.
Grace begged me to get you to the funeral, so I drove here to convince you.
You drove here 5 hours without calling?
No. The drive was splendid, stunning, stupendous. I put on music and it was like sliding through butter. And now that your father's gone and I'm off everything, I can see clearly for the first time in years. It's like I'm born again, only without the Jesus.
Oh my
part.
God, you've stopped taking your meds.
7 days now. Don't you see, Giovanni? Jill ruined everything, but we can start again. I figured it all out on the drive. You know how when fireworks explode, they become shooting stars? Remember how I used to be your shooting star? Wait. Listen,
She gets out her cell phone, puts on the music of Fatumata Diawara, and starts dancing around. She tries to get him to dance, but he resists.
Diane, please stop. Turn it off, Diane. Where are your meds? Do you have them?
No, I'm done with all that.
He puts his hands on her shoulders and tries to lead her to sit down, but she starts to kiss him wildly. She pushes him down on the bed, and he pulls away, stops cold.
Where's Lizzie?
Classic George. Lizzie is fine. I gave birth to her. Do you think I would hurt her?
Diane, you once left her alone for 3 hours in her crib.
Oh, that was just postpartum, and she was fine. You're so judgmental. You think I'm crazy because I want you to do the right thing and go to your father's funeral?
Diane, you have a lifelong disorder. Bipolar.
Damn you, George! You're just like the social work committee. I am doing significant research and they're on me about some arbitrary deadline. I told them to go fuck themselves.
You told the social committee work to go fuck themselves?
We'll go back to Africa. They need teachers. We can do good there. Your father isn't even here anymore to disapprove.
Oh my God, Diane, I can't take this. Not again.
He sinks down on the bed in despair. She starts kissing him again, getting on top of him.
Poor George.
He extricates himself and moves away.
When's the funeral?
Thursday. And on Sunday, a mass at St. Bartholomew's. Isn't that great? An actual funeral mass. Haven't been to one in years. Of course, it'll be an Episcopal thing instead of the proper Catholic thing. Your family's so fancy.
Diane, where is Lizzie?
Oh, stop looking at me that way. She's at the Lewis's, and I'm fine. And now you're going to tell me my judgment is bad or some such. But I wasn't going to drag her all this way to the funeral of a man she only met once, thanks to you.
So now you think I should have exposed her to him?
He was a respected and admired man.
And why have Giovanni spoil everyone's fantasy?
Are you going back to Giovanni? I think you should. Definitely. Just like Mozambique, Giovanni and Diane. Before you got all high and mighty.
Okay, Diane, I give up. I won't get up and say any nice words about him, but I'll go to the funeral.
I'm sure everyone present will be grateful for your silence.
But you have to get back on your meds first. Dr. Riley can call a pharmacy here.
No way in hell.
Diane, the last time you went off your meds, you almost killed yourself.
I wasn't going to jump. I was speaking theoretically.
Yeah, that was some theoretical fifth floor, Diane.
You never understand anything. I've transcended all that. We'll go to the funeral and then
Let's go right now. We can...
we can stay until the conference is over. I'll work on my dissertation.
You told the committee to go fuck themselves.
They know I didn't mean it. How will we sleep together in that tiny bed?
If we're gonna go, let's just go.
No. I'll go get my suitcase and we'll,
Giovanni, are you in there?
Giovanni?
I'm tied up right now.
Diane opens the door. Jessie looks from Diane to George.
Oh, I didn't realize you had company.
Jessie, this is my wife, Diane. Diane, this is Jessie Lowry. We took Brody's master class together.
Oh, nice to meet you.
My father died this morning.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to see if he was going to dinner. Forgive me for intruding.
I must be the most ridiculous woman on the planet.
Stop it, for God's sakes.
Your mother warned me about you when I told her about Jill Regan.
You told my mother?
I wanted her advice. I didn't know what to do. I'm a person, George. A person.
All these years, I kept your damn secret, and you told my mother about Jill.
Wait till I tell her about this one. Maybe I'll announce it in front of the whole funeral. Can you imagine all those 1%ers hearing how the dead guy just loved prostitutes and his son is just like him?
You're crazy, Diane.
Don't you call me that, goddammit! Don't you even want to know that your mother said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
My mother said that?
Oh, she said I should stay anyway.
Wait, I can't believe this. My mother equates one time in 20 years with what my father put her through? I'm sorry, Diane.
You fuck some woman you meet at a writer's conference, and all you have to say is,
It isn't like that.
oh no, then tell me. What is it like?
I can't even explain why I followed you into the ocean that day when you took off your clothes, and I thought you were so free, so amazing and sexy, but you were just manic, and I was a stupid, confused kid.
We can go back there, Giovanni. We're our best there. I can be that girl again, that shooting star.
Stop it. We have a child, a mortgage. I'm a tenured professor. My God, Diane, I can't do this anymore. You said maybe my father wanted peace in his life. Well, I do too.
Go ahead. Admit that you're like him.
I will never say that, Diane, never.
What am I supposed to think? That I'm not smart enough, young enough, pretty enough?
Sane enough?
What?
You're not sane enough.
Tell me what you think I should do here, George. Tell me.
I think we should get you to a hospital.
You know, I'm quite capable of convincing the cops that you're the issue here.
And I think we should figure out what to do about Lizzie and how to split up.
You can't mean that. You can't. You love me. You've always loved me.
No, Diane! I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Stop saying that.
Diane, please. You've accomplished so much. I can't watch you go down this rabbit hole again.
You know what, George? I'm not going down this rabbit hole again. You are. I must have been insane to stay with you all these years. And you know what else? I think you're incapable of really loving anyone.
Where are you going? Hello, Dr. Riley. It's George DeLuca. Diane's gone off her meds again. It's bad. No, not suicidal at the moment. I'm in Massachusetts. My father just died. I guess I should have waited until she stabilizes again. But I just lost it. I told her I want a divorce. I'm watching her get into her car. She'll probably show up tomorrow at my father's funeral ranting and raving. I don't even care as long as she's... Thank you for saying that. Maybe if you called her... Thanks, doctor. For everything.
Scene 21, Jessie's room, day 5 of the writers' conference. She's working at her computer. Don comes out with a drink and his cell phone and dials. Her cell phone rings. She answers.
How's the conference going?
Okay. How's everything there?
I think you need to have a serious talk with your daughter.
What happened?
She slept at Morgan's last night. The parents weren't there.
You didn't check?
Well, maybe you would have checked if you'd actually been here.
What happened?
2 older boys,
How old?
16. They were still there when the parents came home.
Jesus. Were they having sex?
I don't know the exact details.
You didn't ask her?
Jessie, just calm down. You lost your virginity at 15.
That boy and I loved each other.
Yeah. More than I can say for you and me.
You want to talk about that right now?
Well, it's long past time we did. You've said things to me that I can't even bear to repeat. You've sunk so deep into despair that I hate coming home. You disapprove of what I've decided I want to do with my life.
You'll regret giving up the best part of your job.
What do you think is the best part? And you only think that because of some arcane idea that vaginal surgery is anti-women. Well, I think helping women's self-esteem, not to mention restoring their sex lives, is worth a lot. Maybe I don't want to bring children into the world anymore, but what I do isn't up to you. And just like it isn't up to me to tell you not to write a novel, even if I'm concerned about exposing our personal mess to the world.
Don, for God's sake, fiction is a soup. That means that
Don't talk down to me, Jessie.
if I express an idea that disagrees with yours, you think I'm talking down to you.
It's like I'm living with a different woman. I want my wife back.
That woman no longer exists.
Plus, you turn me down every time I want sex.
Maybe the first months, but Not anymore.
Do you think I don't know when you're not into it?
That's right. I'm not interested in fucking twice a day or even once a day.
Fucking?
That's how it feels to me. I feel used like an ashtray.
You never loved me?
You just expect me to go along like a robot with everything you say or want.
Do you think I want a robot?
Maybe I'm overstating it, but yes. And I just can't live my life in fear anymore.
Fear? What? I've never laid a hand on you.
I'm not going to debate that with you right now. What I mean is I can't live in fear of upsetting you, the great doctor, the great man.
Yeah, well, I think there's only one thing you fear, and that's losing the life that I provided for you.
Finally. There it is. What you think of me. But that's someone you've conjured inside your head, not me. What could I possibly fear more than losing my child?
Sorry. Shouldn't have said that. You should go to counseling.
I've been asking you to go since before Olivia died. Why now?
Because we don't have a choice.
That is true.
Also, because I don't want to lose you. I love you. Always have. You're my beautiful Jessie.
What do you love about me, Don? I mean, besides the way I look.
I don't know. Clever, witty, smart. You've put up with me all these years. You're a wonderful mother.
Whose child died on her.
Sorry. Sorry I couldn't save her. Just,
You know, Don, if you'd said that a few years ago, I don't know what hateful things I'd have said. Now, I'll just tell you what you already know. You're a good physician, yes, but you're not God.
I think that's what I love most about you. You survived the death of our child. That's something.
That's true. I have. And it is. All right, Don, we'll try counseling. I'll be home in a few hours and I'll have a long talk with Zoe, assuming she's willing.
Assuming.
Scene 22, Campus Hill on campus, day 5 of the conference. Jessie is sitting on the bench staring at the landscape. George approaches.
I wanted to call to say goodbye, but your wife already seemed suspicious. Are you going to your father's funeral?
Decided to go home to my daughter.
I need to go home too. In the Department of Weird Coincidences, it seems Zoe might have had sex for the first time last night.
Might have?
Don didn't get the details.
The universe is a very strange place, don't you think?
Strange, bewildering, terrible, but also beautiful. My husband thinks Zoe's acting out because I've abandoned her.
He's blaming you?
He's probably right.
I can't even imagine how I'd survive losing Lizzie.
Don't even go there. Don said he thought we should go to counseling.
And
It's a 20-year marriage, a whole life together, what's left of it.
I understand.
Do you?
Of course. Besides, what would you think would happen if I sell 3.5 copies of my book and you sell 300,000 and become the toast of the literati? I doubt I'd be as gracious, asshole that I am.
That won't happen, George. And I know you wouldn't be an asshole if it did. It's just, maybe I was exaggerating some of what I told you. It's so hard to see clearly through grief. You're just trying to see the next moment.
He didn't say he'd go to counseling because you told him about us, did you? Did
I
he?
can't tell him. He couldn't forgive me.
Would you forgive him?
Oh, my mouth has been so unhinged that one day I told him he should find someone else to accommodate him.
Did he?
I don't know. I'm not even sure I care. I just need him to change how he is with me. When I talked to him this morning, he seemed to be trying.
You think he can?
I don't even know that he should. Maybe another woman would be more what he wants. I'll never be the same woman he married. I don't even know if we can be truthful and gentle with each other. It's not a good start to have to lie about you. But I have to go into it believing there's a chance. You too, George. Maybe you can figure out how to love her again. I thought I'd see you both at dinner last night.
We went into town for dinner.
We were supposed to do that. Where is she now?
Back in the room.
Are you telling me the truth? She just looks so suspicious. Did you have a confrontation?
Jessie, go home to your husband.
Giovanni, you are in no way like your father. You are a beautiful man, kind and compassionate and loving.
And cynical and bitter and deluded.
Well, maybe a little of all that.
Exactly. Soulmates. What are we, 16?
What if we are?
I don't know. What if?
I've been asking him to go to counseling for years. I owe it to him and to Zoe.
Don't have to explain. Will you send me your novel?
If I ever finish
You
it.
better, now that you know the ending. She goes back to the husband.
Actually, I may have her leave him. I'm thinking about changing the circumstances of the child's death too. Maybe cancer. Will you send me your novel too?
I may abandon this one for now and start something new. It's not as though I have a publishing contract.
I understand. George.
She gets up with regret and starts to leave. He grabs her arm. They stare at each other. She tries to pull away. He lets go. She starts to walk off, then stops, turns, comes back, drops her bag and kisses him desperately. Then she walks off, leaving him completely alone.
End of play.